Hey guys, Walter here at Hobby Sports. We're going to be doing the brushless conversion on one of our 4Ms here. We got the brushless system in. It's a 2-in-1. It's really nice because it allows you to still use the lights and also keep your stock transmitter on there. But at first, I'm going to show you the stock speed. You know, nothing that impressive. You know, it's pretty slow walking pace. This is the high trail, so it's a little faster because of the bigger wheels, but nothing too impressive.
Great for crawling.
Yeah. Okay. First you gotta pop off the body. Unplug whatever battery you had in if you had one in. Always make sure to take it out when working on a car. But yeah, let's get to unboxing this. So inside the box, you're gonna have your system. The little tiny outrunner that this thing has. It's pretty sick. Small little guy. You're gonna have your ESC right there with all your plugs on it. Everything's there. Then this also comes with a motor mounting plate. We'll need that later. And also comes with instructions, which is pretty nice. You know, the large Traxxas instruction manuals they always give you, and pretty detailed instructions on how to put it in. First step on this is taking out your old ESC. So you're going to want to use a 1.5. Just take off these screws right here. Alright, once you get those out, unplug your wires. And you got the stock ESC, and you put in the new one. With the new one, they do recommend placing it this way in the vehicle, just because the hardware type that's needed. Simply reuse your old screws on there. If I can get it in. Sometimes it is better picking your vehicle up while working on it. Make sure you check for gap spacing on there. Make sure it's not too tight in there, too loose. You just want to know where it holds it in. Next up, they call for removing the gearbox. So with the gearbox, to get to it, you will have to remove the battery tray off of it. The instructions don't state it, but I'd recommend it because it's easier to get to the screws. Plus, you're going to need it off anyway to rerun the wires. This does have a little feature on here where it catches into the rails on your battery tray. So you just want to tilt that sideways and then pull right out. You can pull your wires out of it. It's fine because you're going to have to run wires anyway through it. And once you get that out, and we'll just set it to the side. All right, and popping out the gearbox, undo these 4 screws. This is also something, if you swapped out the gearbox for the 2-speed, it'd kind of be the same procedure here. Or if you changed it out with the pre-mounted motor onto that gearbox, with one of the different speeds in it, because I know they do sell it like that. Once you get this undone, just pull the gearbox right out. Your axles will, automatically come out because they're just slot in. Next up, you disassemble the gearbox. So there'll be 4 screws here on the front. will have to take off one of these ends. I believe it is this one. And just come out. Next, you'll undo the 4 screws here. This little housing should pop right off. You're going to want to remember your placement of gears obviously on here, just because you're going to have to go back and put those back in. It's also kind of smart to remove the other side too for your drive shaft link. Just remember that. And then you'll undo your motor screws on here. So once you have your stock motor out, you want to go ahead, make sure you have all your screws out of there, because you will not be using those old motor screws. Next, you want to take your mounting plate here, pull that out the bag. A knife would be preferable. I don't need a knife. You want to remember those 2 little screws right there, because that'll be for mounting your motor to the mounting plate, I believe. Yes. So those will be the smaller ones there in the bag. Now, you want to take your motor, running with the wires to the side, put the mounting plate on like so, up and down. Next, we'll take those little motor screws, and they'll go right in there on the top. Just want to screw those in, not too tight. And I'll just go in simple like that. Next up, you want to put this back onto here, making sure your holes are lined up, and I'm using the new screws that the kit came with. And it'll slot right into that little plastic mount piece they gave you there. I'll do it on there. Make sure you get it on there decently tight. Alright, and next step is reassembling the gearbox gears. That.
I don't think you can put those in backwards. I could be wrong. Other than the bottom gear, I don't think you can mess up the placement of the input gear.
No, because
or
they're
the transfer.
Spaced. They're spaced properly. Once you get that back in, put your gearbox housing cover back on. So we're kind of going a crisscross pattern here. Just make sure you get it on there all right and even.
So while Walter's doing that, when I was at the show, Traxxas recommended if you're going to put this kit in the car that you might want to consider the metal axle sets for the trucks and the steel axle shafts and a set of the metal center drives applicable to whatever specific vehicle that you have. Not necessary, but it makes the drivetrain hold up if you're a little rough on your vehicle, let's say.
Then you'll go ahead and put your drive shaft ends back on. So remember, your motor's pointed that way. So could recommend turning it upside down.
Fish in the drive shafts.
Yep. Once you get that back in, it should kind of slot itself back in. Go ahead, reinstall your gearbox screws here. And also put those crisscross pattern, make sure they stay even.
We're 12 minutes in. This is a pretty easy install.
Yeah. Get that back in. Take your battery tray here.
Floss all the wires back through that.
Yeah, sure. There's a little clip right here that your wires will just slot into like that. And I'm reattaching this tray. You want to go in at an angle and just kind of pull itself down.
Twist it in.
Pretty much. And you will take your screws right here. Re-put your tray back in. Stop. Your motor wires, a 3-ended plug. It's pretty hard to mess this up. You just want to push that in right there. Then your battery end will be right there. Your servo end. This does feature 2 channels on here. You will still plug it in to channel 1. Plugs in pretty simple like that. And with the lights, there is an adaptive light port on here. Same idea with that. Plug it into your light port. Now,
the pairing.
So you want to first make sure this is off. Hold down your set button, turn on. That'll activate pairing mode. You're gonna take your battery and then
push the button as you plug it in.
Yep, hold the easy set button while you plug it in. Should be bound. Did notice this one puts a little bit more tension on your battery wire compared to the last one. Pretty straightforward. Check, make sure your steering's all there. Make sure your lights are still on. All right, let's see if this goes faster. Way faster.
Double the speed as advertised.
A lot better low speed compared to the brush motor on there too. Full. Does have a pretty good brake system on the trigger too, which is nice. Yeah. Well, that was a pretty good install on there, I would say. From Traxxas. Made it pretty straightforward, easy, not very hard to mess up. Would recommend getting it, you know, if you're a crawler enthusiast, or if you have the MT. That was one thing they offered for it too, because that'll get it, you know, to the speed that you would want on a monster truck platform. Pretty good features.
The MTs will do wheelies with the brushless kits in them, just so you're aware, which is really cool. And that install took us about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. Another thing I would recommend too with this is the 2-speed. Just so you have a high gear and a low gear too with it. It's a pretty nice install. But yeah, I think that about does it.